Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. And before I get started here, I'd invite you all to please join the team and subscribe to the channel. And just at this early time, it's really important that we get as many subs as we can just to get the channel off to a good start. So super appreciate that if you could. But getting down to business today, I wanted to talk about X-Men comics because I think it's a really good time right now to buy X-Men comics. You know, if you're looking to expand your collection, I think X-Men is one of the spots that, you know, the prices aren't too high, they're not inflated. There's not a lot of hype in the X-Men market. So for those reasons, I think you're getting a pretty good deal on X-Men comics at this time. And, you know, obviously the Dark Phoenix just came out in theater and like completely bombed. And, you know, check out my Dark Phoenix review on the channel if you have time. But you know, I thought the movie was okay. I think, you know, Jean Grey is pretty much kind of a terrible actress, and that doesn't come across well on the screen. And so there's certainly a lot of things with the story that don't really harken back to the comics, I would say. But I can show you my X-Men collection. I only have 3 X-Men comics in the 9.8 white pages. So I'm sort of looking to expand my collection as well. And yeah, I just think it's sort of, you know, a bit of a microcosm of what you want to try to do when you're buying comic books is, you know, don't necessarily buy the comic books of like the hottest thing that's out right now and, you know, something where the books are so hot for whatever reason. And, you know, I think in some sense, some Batman comics, you know, Joker covers and, you know, I think Batman's kind of heating up with the Joker coming out, the Joker movie coming out in October, and the Batman movie coming out next year. Whereas X-Men, you just had Dark Phoenix come out, it kind of bombed, and you know, I think if you wait maybe another month or two, there's going to be absolutely no X-Men hype. And my thinking is, some of the rumors I'm hearing are that X-Men's going over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And all the X-Men movies, like the past 4, have been done by Fox. So I think if they move over to Disney and Marvel, I think the movies are going to be way better. And there's probably going to be crossovers with Spider-Man. And there's a lot of rumors going around now. But I think before, you know, and that'll probably take 2 or 3 years for Disney to kind of get everything straight and start thinking about X-Men movies. So it's going to be a while. But I think at that time the hype will really pick up and then the comics will likely inflate. So, you know, you're probably going to have like a 2-year window possibly to pick up some X-Men comics. So I'll share with you my issues here. I picked these up, yeah, these two were last year, and early this year I bought that 142. But I picked this one up last year, Uncanny X-Men 121, first full appearance at Alpha Flight. And yeah, this is a book where back when I was younger, and I really liked this book a lot. And you know, being from Canada, Alpha Flight is probably a little bigger of a deal up here than in the United States. Kind of like the Canadian X-Men, I guess you could say. But yeah, with a lot of these issues, the ones that I really like and that I really have kind of a nostalgic value to are like the Chris Claremont, John Byrne X-Men run. Such great stories, awesome art, awesome colors, you know, so many great superheroes and stories. And, you know, growing up being a huge fan of like X-Men, the animated series, I know a lot of people are, you know, I have that huge nostalgic connection to X-Men, and, you know, that X-Men animated series was pretty close to a lot of the Claremont stories. And in the Claremont run, and they've become so popular, the sort of John Byrne Claremont issues. And this is sort of right in the middle. First appearance at Alpha Flight on this one. Just looking at the CGC census, 12.5 of all graded copies are 9.8s. So that's not too bad. This is a 1979 book, so it's, you know, getting a little bit older, but not a bad ratio at all. There's 268 of these in the 9.8 on the blue label. And if you look online too, a lot of them are like off-white to white pages. This one being a white pages, and this one is really nice. Like, I was really happy when I got it. It's so flat, the pages are super white. Yeah, definitely like maybe even like a 9.9 candidate. This one, it's such a nice book. So I was glad to pick this up. This one I purchased in Canada. It was $500 and plus like $20 shipping, I would say, so $520 we'll call it. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty decent deal. You're seeing a lot of these online now for, you know, $700-800, you know, $7.99 some of the 9.8 white pages, about $700 buy it now for off-white to white pages. So to grab this for $520, and it was the buyer, the seller had listed it for $600, and I messaged him and said, hey, I'll pay $500 right now. If you want to make the switch, you know, I'll pay it right now ASAP. And he was like, yeah, that's a fair offer. So $500 for this, not too bad, I would say. And yeah, 9.8 white pages for a 1979 book, first full appearance of Alpha Flight. And yeah, you kind of, who knows, you never, there could be an Alpha Flight movie coming out, or maybe Alpha Flight will be in the new X-Men movie, so there's always that kind of possibility, kind of catalyst. So this issue, number 112, it's not really a key issue, but I've always loved the cover. That was, you know, this is one that kind of sticks out for me from when I was a kid for some reason. Just really like the cover, and I got a pretty good deal on this too. This was about $350 US, which isn't too bad. You do see some like buy it nows for, you know, where people are trying to get $600-700 for this one. You know, being that it's not a key issue, I don't think it sells super well, but you know, it just being that kind of low price sort of popped up and looked pretty low compared to a lot of the other prices I was seeing. And yeah, I know, you know, being that I do have kind of a nostalgic connection to this issue. So on the census for this one, there's of all graded copies, 10.6% are 9.8s. And that's a pretty favorable ratio. This is a 70s book, so it's getting into the 70s. Usually you're going to get around that 10% mark for books in the 70s. So 10.6%, and there's only 102 9.8s of this. And this one as well, you know, sometimes in the pictures it's hard to come across, but this one is a really nice issue as well. Very crisp white pages, super flat. Yeah, solid 9.8 for sure. In the new case as well. All these were lucky enough to be in the new case. And last X-Men comic I picked up maybe about 3 months ago now, so it was earlier this year. 142, Death of kind of alternate universe X-Men, and part of Days of Future Past. So I'm looking for 141 as well in the 9.8 white pages. But this being 142 is such a cool cover, another cover that sticks out for me from when I was a kid. And yeah, looking on the census, what was it, 13.5% of all copies are 9.8s. And there's 468 of the blue label 9.8s. And yeah, again, some of those aren't going to be white pages, so a little bit under, you know, around 400, probably one of 400 collection item. I always like to kind of think of these 9.8 books as that. This one being a 1981 book, but Days of Future Past Part 2, this one, yeah, looking, Part 1 is basically at the top of my list. You know, for X-Men 141 9.8 white pages, I'd really like to grab one of those, even possibly in the newsstand, because then I'll have kind of matching newsstand 141 142s. So that's, yeah, one that I'm looking to buy now, basically. I'm kind of keeping my eye out, hopefully one for a decent price pops up in Canada. But, so X-Men right now, yeah, basically, you know, just for those reasons I mentioned earlier, the hype is sort of very low. Obviously the last movie just really bombed, and all of the rumors are sort of that X-Men's going to be moving to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they just do a lot better job making movies. It's like, I mean, it's evident in the Avengers and X-Men. If you watch X-Men, the cast has no chemistry, and, you know, there's a couple, like, I really like Michael Fassbender as Magneto, but, you know, besides that, the cast is like, they're just, the scenes seem hard and hard to get through, and there's not a lot of chemistry. Whereas in Avengers, it's funny, they have chemistry, you don't even think about the acting because you focus more on the visual effects and the story, and it just makes the movies so much better. So yeah, for those reasons, no X-Men hype right now. You're going to get pretty fair prices in that environment. So I think it is a really good time to keep your eye out for X-Men books. Now, if you're not into 9.8s like me and sort of the 80s, late 70s runs that are really nostalgic to me, sort of the Chris Claremont, John Byrne era, there's a lot of like really good Silver Age X-Men books that you could get into. Like X-Men #1, I think right now, first appearance of X-Men, I think is one of the best value Silver Age books that you could buy. And I got some other ones here. There's like X-Men #12, First Juggernaut. I think that's a really good book to, that's usually quite widely available. If you could find like a nice mid-grade copy, that would probably be about $500, I would think. I've almost purchased one. I've watched some auctions, but just kind of never pulled the trigger. And yeah, I think that's more a personal thing because I've sort of made a decision to just kind of focus on the 9.8s from the 80s, and those are the books that I really loved as a kid. So the Silver Age books, I wasn't born yet, and I don't have a nostalgic connection to them, so that's not really my style. But if you're like seriously investing in comic books, that's probably the best way to go, is to buy Silver Age books, because there's like so many iconic first appearances, and those are the ones where if people have like $20 million, they're just going to be like, yes, I want to buy like all the great Silver Age first appearances, like Amazing Fantasy, first Spider-Man, first X-Men, this Juggernaut book, another one, X-Men '94, which is getting closer to the 80s, but that's first new X-Men. There's one that I really like that I don't have, that's kind of on my like second tier list, is 221, First Mr. Sinister. That would be a really good one to pick up if you're on maybe a bit more of a budget. There is 141 again. That's on my kind of first tier list of what I want to buy, and 266 as well. What is it? First Gambit, and yeah, that's a really good one in the 9.8s to have. I think that one will totally hold its value. Gambit has a really like good cult following. And 129 is a really good one in the 9.8s as well. That's sort of probably the main key out of the whole Byrne era with First Kitty Pryde. That in the 9.8 white pages, that would be a really nice one to have in the collection too. And yeah, I really like 122 with First Mastermind as like Jason Wingard, I believe, kind of Colossus. That's a really good one. That's probably on my like second or third tier list, but if like a really good deal popped up on that in a 9.8 white pages, I would be so tempted to pull the trigger on that. But yeah, overall with X-Men right now, I think the issues aren't inflated. I think there's good deals out there to be had. There's pretty much no hype right now. You could maybe argue that I think Dark Phoenix is still in theaters, although I saw like this morning, I think there was a thing where it's going to be pulled from theaters already after like not even a month being out, I would say. But yeah, you can maybe make an argument that there maybe is a little bit of hype because Dark Phoenix is still in theaters, so if you wanted to wait a couple months, that might be worth it. And just keep your eyes out on eBay and Comic Link for any X-Men comics that you might want. And I think now's the time, or getting into that time to buy. And yeah, 2-3 years down the road, if X-Men comes out with under the Disney brands and Marvel Disney movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think those movies will be awesome. And I'm even kind of a fan of the last 4 movies. Personally, I really liked X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past. The last 2 didn't really like that much. Yeah, I think the Jean Grey actress is just really bad, unfortunately. Even though in like normal life and some of the build up for Dark Phoenix and the reason why I saw it is like she's really cool in interviews. She seems really nice, really cool. She's like British, but then on screen she does like the Western accent for Jean, and it just doesn't come off good. And there's no chemistry with the cast. her and Jennifer Lawrence have a couple scenes, and it's like it's cringy. But you know, besides, if you can get over the acting, even the last two movies I thought were pretty cool because some of the special effects with Magneto and I thought were really awesome. And yeah, the first two, when you know, First Class and Days of Future Past, I actually liked. So, but when they bring X-Men over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Disney Marvel, I think it'll be like a whole new level, and you know, hopefully those movies will sort of be similar to Avengers and do really well. And then at that point, maybe you can pick and choose a couple of these issues that you would buy in the next year. At that point, you could sell them for you know, a little bit of a profit, and that's kind of how you want to look at buying comic books. You don't necessarily want to be buying the books of like the most popular movie right now, or you know, like, you know, Jessica Jones is just wrapping up, so you don't necessarily want to just be going out buying you know, first appearance of Jessica Jones or Patsy Walker or Hellcat, or you know, there's a lot of really hot books at any point in time that you know, it's really easy to kind of get excited and go online and look at buying them. So right now I just don't think there's any excitement for X-Men, which is making prices affordable. And yeah, in the next year or two, I think you can really pick away and find some really good deals in X-Men. So that'll be all for today's vlog. Thanks a lot for watching, and yeah, I got a whole ton of ideas for content coming up, and gonna aim for kind of like probably 4 or 5 videos a week, maybe even more sometimes. And also going to get some live podcasts going. Likely just once a week I'll do something live, just for right now, and who knows, that could expand over time, but want to get something live done probably within the next month, and then have that be a weekly thing, plus 4 or 5 vlog type videos like this each week as well. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, guys, really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video.